Good afternoon once again, book lovers of the internet. I am Book Nerd 802, and in this video I am going to be speaking about my fourth week of teaching practice, which is now over, which was also a massive roller coaster of emotions. Well, first of all, to preface all of this, Monday was a public holiday, so in all fairness, it was a 4-day week, but it honestly felt like a 20-day long week because of how much work really piled up and how unmotivated I really felt to do anything. Getting out of bed early in the morning was probably one of the hardest challenges which I faced during my fourth week of teaching practice. That being said, I did put a lot of effort into giving the best lessons I possibly could. There were several distractions from the students' end as well, especially considering that the Easter holidays are coming up next week. Several lessons are going to be missed. There is a school play later today, I believe, and they had a lot of rehearsals to prepare for, so their minds really weren't on the lessons at all, and I had no control on who would come to class or who wouldn't. Some students, in fact, fell behind, but I still have approximately 50 different writing tasks to correct, and it is rather overwhelming because on top of that, I have to write 900 words with regard to classroom profiles, which I have finished, 600 words of daily reflections because I had to catch up, and 1,500, um, 2,700, I believe, 9 students, 300 words, 2,700 words of student profiles I have yet to write. I will begin writing those once I finish recording this video and once it's safely uploaded to my channel. But yeah, that is very, very overwhelming. So many corrections I have to do by Monday as well, and so many things that have yet to be uploaded to the drive, not to mention lesson plans. All that being said, I am also taking my fifth week of teaching practice with a pinch of salt because I paused my second exam during my fourth week, and I was told that I will not be getting an external examiner, which means that one of the two examiners who have visited so far will probably return next week, and I know precisely what to work on, what they are expecting. So I'm not saying that it will be easier in any way, shape, or form, but I know precisely which buttons to press in order for the lessons to work to my favor, and hopefully that will also make me a better teacher in the long run. I've had some observations done by my mentor at school as well, and she's given me quite positive um, feedback. And of course, there are always going to be factors which I have to improve upon. That is something that has to be said as well. I am definitely not perfect and probably will never be, but I am trying to be the best English teacher I can and to motivate my students as much as possible. Several students recognized who I am from YouTube and TikTok last week, and they weren't even from my class, so that kind of blew my mind. They spoke with me during break time, and I was very happy to get to know some of my fans as well. I wasn't expecting all of that to happen, and the word is spreading very, very quickly, like wildfire, one might say. There were several activities which I conducted during my lessons, which I found to be very, very pleasant. For instance, when I gave my students a task to prepare a presentation, honestly, it could have gone better because there were several distractions. They weren't really working as diligently as they should have because of um, all the distractions which resulted from different activities, not my class necessarily. But um, I was hoping for the presentations to work better, but the students seemed to enjoy that activity both in my grade 8 and my grade 9 classes. So I will try to do that again in future lessons and perhaps when I have another teaching practice, probably sometime next year. Um, it's pretty mind-blowing to me to realize how far I've come and how long these 4 weeks have felt, honestly. But I do feel as though I did an overall rather good job. The students seem to love my lessons. They were disappointed when I told them that I am soon going to stop being their teacher, and I think that is a positive thing overall because That means they enjoyed my lessons, perhaps they learned something from them. I hope it's not because I might have been too lenient, which I don't think I was. I mean, there are some times when I have to be strict in class because otherwise no work would get done and the other teachers would fall behind. And the kids have to realize that things have to be taken more seriously, because this will ultimately affect their futures. They're too young to yet realize how much of an impact knowing another language so well will have on their futures. In fact, I regret not putting in more work into learning a third language when I was their age, and these kids hardly know two, um, well, let alone three, which is a total shame. Um, but yeah, I think my students have enjoyed the lesson so far. They've been getting a lot of fun activities. I've been trying to supplement from the course books as well. Last time, for instance, I used artificial intelligence. I used ChatGPT to generate an image of a mysterious drum kit and told the students to come up with a backstory for the drum kit and then to present it to the rest of the class. I think that was quite a creative idea on my end, and I will definitely do that again. On the other hand, my main problem is no longer with timing my lessons, it's apparently with putting too many activities into one lesson plan and then being disappointed that I would not have finished everything. But now that I understand my students better, now that I know perfectly well of what they are capable and how many distractions each lesson might have, I can plan better and reduce the amount of activities to put into a lesson plan in order to finish everything I have in mind and to prioritize the exercises which I think matter the most. But yeah, the fourth week, considering that it was only a 4 day week, still felt exceptionally long. I still have a lot of writing yet to complete because these reflections are honestly killing me. There is so much work behind the scenes that nobody really talks about as a teacher. And it's starting to hit me how giving students homework might also be detrimental for the teacher, not only beneficial for the students. So I was told to prioritize myself during these couple of weeks as well. It can't always be the students, unfortunately, but in my mind, the students are what matter the most. So even at the expense of my own health, I will still probably prioritize the students. In fact, I haven't really exercised properly in ages. I am eating my feelings away, so I'm somehow still losing weight rather than putting on weight, and I haven't really been getting enough sleep either. So the anxiety is really piling up. But on the outside, I always seem to be quite a chill guy because that is the person people want to look up to. That is the figure I want to show students, to give them the impression that they can be the exact same, and life does bring challenges about, but you have to face them head on, and things will be over eventually if you just persist and if you're consistent and if you don't give up. I know that is a very, very generic thing to say, but it's sometimes better to plow through rather than to complain and hate your existence, which I kind of do anyway, but I do believe in consistency and in persistence, and that it does eventually result in something. So I hope that my students think of life in the same way that I do. I want them to face their challenges head on, not hate their own existence, ideally. And once they're done, once they overcome the obstacles in life, they will realize how much better they've become as people. And in my case, they're all going to be fantastic people living within society, gentlemen, hopefully, people with good values, a good understanding of how to treat others and to respect others, and ideally to sometimes remember of me as their teacher and speak in proper English. I mean, I know 4 weeks isn't a long enough time to teach kids much of a language, but I like to think that I still had a bit of an impact on them, and I still do have another week of teaching to do, but it's all coming to an end. I mean, I am exhausted and I want it all to be over, but at the same time, it's so bittersweet that I will not be teaching these kids anymore, and it kind of breaks my heart, but that is all I had to say about my fourth week of TP. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Bye, guys.